Okay, by applying self-regulation correctly, you can achieve automaticity. So that's mean whenever you practice something regularly, the habit becomes automatic. So that is the relationship between self-regulation and automaticity. Okay, and then comes reward. So how do you define reward? Reward. Reward motivation. Okay, so there are two kinds of motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic. So extrinsic is related to external reward. Okay, and then intrinsic motivation means whenever the motivation comes from inside. Okay. Okay, then reward transfer. Okay, so transfer means interlingual and intralingual. So interlingual means what? Interlingual means whenever you transfer elements from your mother tongue or L1 to L2. Okay, you can transfer any habits, any language ability, any knowledge and information. Okay, so if the transfer happens between L1 to L2, so that is called interlingual. And if the transfer happens from in between one language or L2, that is called intralingual. Okay. Okay. Then comes identity and investment. Okay. So identity means whenever you have the ability to use several languages, but you don't want to switch yourself from one language to other language because of your language ego. So you want to attach yourself within one culture and the society you belong to. So that is called your identity. Okay, so identity is related to language ego. Okay, then comes investment. So investment is the effort. Okay. From the book, investment is the completeness of learner's participation. Okay, so learner's participation is related to identity. How? Because whenever you put some effort to learn a language, so by this effort and by learning this language, your identity will be defined. Okay.
Time can be invested, right? For example, I'm spending time to learn.
That can be included into your participation. The completeness of learner's participation. Book, page number 77. 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph. On the bold sentence, before the bold words, completeness of learner's participation. So that is the relationship between identity and investment. Implications. Okay, then interaction, right? So interaction is related to series method, right? So can you remember series method?
Yes, sir.
What was the main theme of series method? As example, you were uttering different phrase. Okay, different phrase or different chunks of words simultaneously. One by one, one sentence after one sentence. Okay, so that is the process of series method. So you were following a series technique to learn a language or to teach a language. So that is called series method. So that is related to interaction. Okay. So what is the main theme of interaction? A state of readiness. I think you underlined that sentence. Willingness to communicate. After that, a state of readiness to engage in the L2, the culmination of processes that prepare the learner to initiate L2 communication within a specific person at a specific time. So whenever you interact with someone at a specific time and at a specific place, so that is the main theme of interaction. So you should have a readiness, a willingness to communicate. So that is the main point of interaction. And also interaction is related to communicative competence. Okay, so how the theme of communicative competence is related to interaction, because communicative competence is based on communication. Okay, can you remember the 4 components? Grammar, discourse, strategy, sociolinguistics, right? So these 4, all these 4 are related to interaction. So if you don't interact, you cannot communicate with anyone, and the theme of communicative competence will not be implemented. Okay, you can relate the term interaction to another term, which is interaction hypothesis by Michel Long and ZPD, zone of proximal development. So whenever you interact or you learn or you teach a language with the help of others, or whenever you learn a language without the help of others. So there is a difference between that. Okay, so this zone is called the zone of proximal development. Okay, page 80, page 80, zone of proximal development. Okay, then I have discussed also lingua culture. So lingua culture is 2 different words attached and create one word, one theme, one word, but 2 under theme, or has 2 sub themes. Okay, so what are those 2 sub themes? Lingua and culture. So the main theme is, or the main broader theme is, language and culture is inseparable. Okay, so you cannot separate language and culture. So whenever you learn or you acquire a language, the culture will set on you automatically. Okay? So that is the theme of lingua culture. So if we look from the book, the inseparability of language and culture. So page 81, after the example, lingua culture to emphasize the inseparability of language and culture. So the lingua, the word lingua means what? Lingua means language. Lingua means discourse, not just about words and structure. So discourse means written and spoken communication. So not just written words, grammars, sentence. Okay, but what do you mean by discourse? Written and spoken communication, right? So lingua means discourse, and the culture here means the meaning. Okay, the culture in the lingua culture is about meanings that include but go well beyond what the dictionary and grammar offer. So we are going beyond what the book and dictionary tell us. Okay, so that is the difference between our regular definition and linguistics definition. So lingua culture means what? Inseparability of language and culture. Okay, I think the remote is not working properly. Lingua culture, yeah. Inseparability. Okay. And the culture in lingua culture is about meanings that include but go well beyond what the dictionary and grammar offers. So if we want to define in one sentence about lingua culture, so that should be defined like that. The lingua culture means whenever you want to attach a meaning to your conversation. Okay, so that is called lingua culture. Okay, the last theme or the last principle is agency. Okay, so agency. Okay, it is not agency in language teaching means your ability to make decision, make choices, take control, self-regulate, and thereby pursue their goals as individuals, learning potentially to personal or social transformation. So agency means your social self-actualization in society. Okay, Self-actualization means what? Whenever you make choice by your own, you do not depend on your society, what your society tells you, or what your surroundings bound you to do so. Okay, so you don't care that, you actually do whatever your mind want to do. Okay, yeah. So your ability to make choices, take control, self-regulate, and thereby pursue your goals. So that is the theme of agency. Okay, so page 83, here is an example given. So another example given from Korea. Okay, so there are 3 examples from Korean people. Okay, so okay, so an example about Seong Jin. Okay, so he went to Canada for an ESL program, but whenever he goes or he went to that university, he found that everyone is following a fixed structure of argumentative essay. So do you know what is argumentative essay is? Argumentative essay means whenever you have 2 arguments, one is supporting you and another one is opposing you. So there is a structure to write an argumentative essay. So this Korean person, whenever he went to Canada, and his university requires him to write an argumentative essay, but at the end of the semester or at the end of the deadline, he decided that, go to the last line. Okay, third para. Okay, at first look at the third para. I like writing based on my intuition. I don't like writing based on logic by adding references. There always has to be a fixed structure. You have to write a positive argument with example sentences first, and then a negative argument with example sentences at the end. Then you have to come up with a solution stating that what the best argument is. So he is stating the structure of argumentative essay. Okay, but at the end of the example, or at the in the last paragraph, whatever he says, but I don't like to do that. Okay, what does that mean? He do not want to follow the popular structure. Okay, I don't want to follow that. My writing then becomes the same as well as other students. I don't like to follow the same form as others. So that is his agency, that is his choice, or that is his self-control. Okay, so that is called agency. So if you go to page number 85, there are 8 principles, whatever I have discussed last class, before the last class and today. Okay, so there is 8 principles. There are 8 principles and related constructs. So whatever I have discussed, you can find them within short words and short phrases. Okay. I think it is the summary of all the principles and terms. Yeah. As example, agency means empowerment, self-actualization, self-efficacy. Okay, self-actualization means your choice to create or make a decision. Okay, so here are 8 principles and the short summary of the 8 principles in the page 85. Okay. Okay, here is the ending of the chapter. Can you pause the recording? Now go at page number 108, chapter 6. 108, yeah. 107, page 107, 108, 108. Teaching across age levels. Okay, so the name of the chapter is Teaching Across Age Levels. So we will know from this chapter how to teach a children, how to teach a teenager, and after that how to teach an adult. Okay, so there are different approaches of teaching different levels. So at first we will know which are the most popular approaches to teach children and what are the techniques. So there are 5 factors. Okay, if you go at page number 110, starting from 110, there are 5 different factors, starting from intellectual development, attention span, then sensory input, affective factors, and authentic and meaningful language. So এই যে 5টা factor অথবা হচ্ছে these 5 factors are really crucial to teach children. Okay, so at first 5 practical approaches to teaching children. So first one is intellectual development, after that attention span, then sensory input, affective factors, authentic and meaningful language. So in the intellectual development, so what do you think children has limitations, or the adults, which age groups has more limitations? What do you think? Okay, so if we look from the slide, children up to the age about 11 have limitation in learning complicated materials, in learning to ESL or EFL. They cannot grasp the meta language we use to describe and explain linguistic concepts. So we found that children up to age 11, they have intellectual difficulty. Okay, so that is why their development is very slow. But if we look from the beginning of the slide, okay, so there are some research which actually claims that children's success comes from their subconscious effort devoted to the task. So some research claims that, do you know about critical period hypothesis? Critical period hypothesis from age 5 to 7 is the period is the more effective period to learn a language. So children learn language more efficiently, more fluently in this age, right? So after that age, after age 7 to 8, the language learning is become more difficult. So that is the critical period hypothesis. Okay, so that's why following this hypothesis, children learn better because they use both cognitive and affective effort to internalize both native and second language. So whenever we observe that if a child grew up in any foreign country or an English speaking country, their English is much more fluent than the other country where English is the second language. Okay, so how much you give effort or how much you learn or apply the structure, it is not dependent on critical period, because at the critical period from 5 to 7 you learn language more efficiently or effectively. Okay, what are the reasons? The reason is they use both cognitive and affective effort to internalize both native and second language. Their effort or their participation is more active than adult in this age. Okay, so that doesn't mean that adults are less successful in their language learning. Okay, so if we want to prove critical period hypothesis and say that the children is more efficient, the children is more fluent in age 5 to 7, but the adult, whenever they become adult, as like age 20, 25, 20, 30, are they become more complex in language learning? No, actually they become more abstract. They learn more rules, the concept, but their language learning is not less successful than children. Okay. Okay, so children's success in acquiring second language belies subconscious effort. So can you remember conscious and subconscious learning? So subconscious means whenever the process or the beliefs, your intuition comes naturally. So that is called subconscious effort. So whenever a child at age 5 to 7 or age 9, do they know any grammar rules perfectly? No. At this age, they actually learn from their environment by following the inductive way of learning, right? So what do you mean by inductive learning?
Inductive learning is acquisition.
Okay, right. Acquisition and learning, inductive versus deductive. So inductive way is the best way or the successful way of language learning. Why? Deductive method is also, deductive way is also successful, but inductive way, in the inductive way, learner learns language very fluently and naturally. Okay, so as I said before, adults are not necessarily less successful in their efforts. The popular claim fails to differentiate very young children from pre-pubescent children, number of complex personal, social and political efforts. Okay, so these are the factors of teaching language to children and adults. So if we discuss affective factors, so it is related to the rule given by Stephen Krashen, right? Can you remember the 5 hypotheses of Stephen Krashen, affective filter hypothesis? So there are some affective factors which filter our process of language learning. Okay, so what are those factors? Fatigue, anxiety, depression. Okay, these are the affective factors. So these factors affects our language learning. So these affective factors is also applicable to teaching children. Okay, so whenever you want to teach a children, there are some factors which actually prohibit them to learn language efficiently. Okay. So okay, in the next class we will discuss the 5 factors briefly, starting from intellectual development, affective factors, sensory input. Okay, we can finish the lecture here. Stop the lecture.